God, this still doesn't look great. Maybe we could do something artsy. Have it like over there. And so we're like looking like that. Actually, that's fucking good. Yeah.
Well, that was a movie.
Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Eric, and we're giving our first thoughts on Darren Aronofsky's The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser. God, what a hard movie.
Yeah.
What... Okay, let's just start with the basic sum up. If you don't know anything about it, Brendan Fraser plays this depressed and morbidly obese man who's just kind of grasping at straws with his life. Like, he's kind of struggling here. If you haven't seen the trailer at all, that's the basic premise. There's a cast of characters that kind of roll in and out, almost like a sitcom style. This was based on a play. You can kind of tell it's written and directed like it is a play, even though it's a movie. And really, that's frankly all you need to know going into it. The less you know, the better, I feel like. But it's a lot about, you know, the human condition, emotion, relationships, and just dealing with being a human being in that condition. It's not really anything like any other Aronofsky film. Like,
no, it's definitely the slowest, but in a good way. It's not
right.
In a bad way. It doesn't drag, but it's definitely like just about this guy's life, and you're contained in his life,
right.
in his house, essentially. Like,
it is very much like a drama. Like, I mean, Aronofsky, not everything he does is thriller necessarily, but there's usually some sort of element to it in there. If I had just seen this movie and not known it was Aronofsky, and if I had missed the credits somehow, if we had driven to the wrong theater first or something,
20 minutes late,
and hadn't known it was Aronofsky, and somebody said, who directed that? You know the director from other movies. I don't think he would have been the top 5 guys, I guess, frankly.
Yeah, I do know that, for me personally, anytime he does a movie this dramatic and this deep, it's always his best stuff as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so we'll probably get into spoilers pretty quick, but before we do, just on a base level, first gut reaction is, God, that was hard to watch.
Yes. But
I enjoyed it tremendously.
That's becoming a theme with his movies. They're hard watches, but they're so good.
Yeah. God.
he gut punches you, man. He just knows how to do it, and he just, I don't know. And then Brendan Fraser, why? Like, where did this come from this guy? Like,
best performance of his life.
Oh, by far. Like, I mean, I know I'm not the biggest fan, haven't seen all his stuff, but like,
I don't know if by far. I mean, George of the Jungle is fantastic. And I'm not joking. I love that fucking movie. But no, this is, I mean, obviously, he's done dramatic performances before. Nothing that I've seen, I agree, nothing that I've seen is of this caliber, where he made the rest of the cast look bad.
Yeah, and
he
they
really
all did fine too.
And it was to the point where there's not just him in the story. He is the focal point of the story, but there are multiple subplots going on with other characters, and they weren't good enough to keep cutting away from him. Like, I'm not saying they were bad,
right,
but he was so good that I'm like, I just stop talking about them. Go back to him.
Get him on the screen.
I want more of him. Like, there's a scene here, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, but he's asleep, so we're following another couple characters in his apartment, and I'm like, he needs to wake up, because I'm sick of these people. Get back to him.
Act his ass off. Get back on camera. Yeah, he was excellent. They really built on the emotion too. They let the characters develop and stuff like that. That was really good, because it made the end pay off really well.
Sure, yeah. And there was moments I was worried it wouldn't.
Yeah, I actually.
But because I will say, I love the story, how the story was written. I didn't love how the dialogue was written. I thought a lot of the dialogue was pretty contrived, if I'm being honest, which is part of why the other actors, I think, struggled, because they're fighting through some rough dialogue at times. But there was moments of foreshadowing throughout. Not that there's a big twist or anything happening here, but there's little moments of reveal throughout. And there was a couple times that they said something, and I was like, oh, that's cool. This is going to reference this other thing later. And sometimes I was right, and sometimes I was wrong. And I appreciated that, because I was like, oh, there's layers here.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what I was expecting going into this exactly, but I know I didn't get it. But I wasn't mad that I didn't get it, because what I did get was something really good.
It really is about a human condition. This guy, he's obviously a beast, like, severely, to the point where, you know, he's going to die, and
knows it.
Yeah, knows it. And the other thing that he really struggles with through the movie is that, like, he put himself in this position. Like, all of his mistakes that he's made in his life had led him to be where he is. And it really is a story of, like, people it's people, it's life, it's complex, it's hard. We make mistakes and we pay for those mistakes, and
right. And just because you know something is wrong or you shouldn't do it doesn't mean you won't do it. Like, I mean, it's a common thing throughout it is his obesity, and so therefore you go back a step. He's got an eating disorder, and there's a couple of really powerful scenes with him knowing he shouldn't be eating, but he is anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think everybody to an extent, but I don't want to use a blanket statement, but I know for a fact, like when I get upset, I want to eat.
Yeah.
And like, obviously not to that extent, but it's still so relatable where you're just like, oh my God, the way they portrayed that is so powerful. I know some people are going to laugh at the movie and, you know, oh, he's fat, he's this, he's that. You have to approach it with a mature mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's grow up. Like, if that's
yeah.
how you're watching it. I was telling you earlier, I saw reviews on IMDb, and that's what they were focusing on. They're like, oh, it's just 2 hours of Buddy the Elf eating, you know, syrup-covered spaghetti. I'm like, then you fucking missed it, dude.
Yeah, that reduces what the story was to that. You missed everything about the story.
Yeah, this is one of the most emotionally powerful movies I've seen ever, but certainly this year. Like, it rivals the best movies I've seen this year, and that is with its flaws, because like I said, it's not perfect. I think some of the writing was iffy, and I think some of the acting was iffy, and even though it's not necessarily a flaw, it's a nitpick, but it feeling so much like a stage play, like, here, we're walking in, all right, now we're walking in. It's almost like sitcom-esque.
I didn't know it was that until you mentioned it, but now that you say that, yeah.
It is frustrating. Like I said, it's not a flaw, but it is a nitpick. All of that is forgiven by the end of the movie, because I was sitting there going like, I don't know, maybe, like, I wanted this to be a 10, and it's certainly not a 10, but like, maybe it could be a 9 or 8, and it kept dropping. I was like, this is a 7, maybe, a strong 7. And then last, like, 20 minutes, I'm like, I don't even feel like giving it a number rating, because I'm just like, whatever it was, holy shit, like, that was amazing. And I know it has flaws, but, like, at a certain point, you know, when you're judging a movie, you kind of just, or any art, kind of just have to take a step back and like, I don't have, you know, a rating for this. This is just something that I needed to see, and I'm really glad I saw it.
Yeah, it really builds up. The ending was, yeah, I can't say much now, but yeah, that ending was good.
Sorry, but the wording on that is like, just the end is
Mamma mia.
It's so good. I do want to get into spoilers, because really there's not a whole lot you can say. I mean, because so much of it has to do with the character development and the interaction between different characters. So like I said, I don't frankly know how I'd rate it. I don't know if you want to give it a rating or not, but I just see it. Just see it. That's my rating. See it, please.
See the damn thing.
Because even if I was going to give it a rating, I don't want to give it one now. I want to let it sit. I want to digest it. Because this isn't a popcorn flick. This is a flame and yawn. I need to process this and take it in first. And like I said, it's not perfect, but no art really is, if we're being honest. And what it was something really powerful and something really good. And especially Brendan Fraser was just outstanding, like out fucking standing. Like,
you almost feel like those tears were real. Like, was it real? Like,
I don't know what he drew from, but he drew from something personal, and it paid off. So yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers now. So if you don't want anything spoiled, please go watch the movie first. Come back and we can talk about it then. But if you're new here, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye. So spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, I might have mentioned it to you. The daughter character was probably my least favorite. The edgy, rebellious character. I know there's more to her than that, but like, it just at this age in my life, because I was a little bit of that growing up. Like this age and that, I'm like, ugh, whatever. Come on.
Right, but I think there isn't. I don't think you're supposed to like or hate anybody in this. And that was, I think, something I struggled with when fairly early on, when I was like, I don't care about these characters. I was wondering, what's the point? Like, we're doing all this religious stuff. Are we saying religion's good? Are we saying religion's bad? And then the moral message of the story was, just be fucking honest.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we're not trying to say religion's good. We're not trying to say religion's bad. We're not trying to say these characters good. We're not trying to say they're bad. We're not trying to say anything about anybody, really. We're just giving you an honest look at life. And because there's good things, there's bad things. Life is hard. Okay? And that's how I took it anyway. And maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but like, you gotta respect it for that. It's like, we're not preaching to you. We're just saying, hey, life is hard. try to appreciate what you can in it, and let the bad go. Just leave everybody else alone and just be honest, be real, be authentic with everybody that you can, and just do that and appreciate the good. That's it.
Yeah, it was definitely. Well, I mean, he mentioned it a bunch of times. They kept bringing up "big honest." Just say something honest, write something
just
honest.
Be real.
Honest. Yeah, it was very much in the. That's what they were trying to. I agree with you. Like very much telling you just live. None of this matters. I mean, he even says it at one point. None of this matters. Just live. Just like he's clearly a man who struggles, and we all struggle with stuff. But the only when you do pass away and you're no longer here, the only thing you've left on Earth is the things you've done.
Yeah. And the people you've affected.
Yeah. And just be honest with those people. Just be honest with those people.
Be honest with them, love them, do whatever you can to help them in any way you can, and leave it at that, and stop trying to understand everything. Yeah. We don't need to fix people. We don't need to fix situations. We don't need to have answers. We just need to be who we are and leave it at that. And that's it's one of those things where it's like, as a critic or an artist or whatever, you're kind of frustrated because like, well, I need something to analyze, and it's like, well, fuck your analysis, just nothing. And I really respect that. I really do, because it makes you stop for a second and just appreciate it how it is. And another thing too is like the whole depression thing with him was so well crafted and so authentically done. Because from the obesity to the overeating despite not wanting to, and how he handled everything, just everything was, you have said, gut punch. Everything, moment after moment with him was a gut punch after gut punch, and you're just like, you believe everything is real with him. And it's so well done. Like, the fact that he kept saying, I'm sorry, especially when people hurt him, he would apologize to them. And that is one of the most real things I've ever seen in film, ever. He blamed himself for everything, even if it wasn't his fault. It was so genuine, and like, that's why I was like, you're like, oh, those are real tears? I'm like, I think they were. It feels like that. So, God, I can't say enough good things about Brendan Fraser's performance in this. It was phenomenal. It was outstanding. It was breathtaking. Like I said, he made everybody else look bad. I'm also very curious. I came up with a theory during it, and there's nothing to confirm it, so it's probably not true, but his boyfriend who killed himself was the brother of his best friend, who was the nurse that kept coming in and taking care of him. And she also was dealing depression, but in a different way. She was kind of taking it out on him and making him her patient, and trying to take care of him and try and save him, because she couldn't save her brother. And the reason she couldn't save her brother was he starved himself to death, essentially. He ended up killing himself by jumping off a bridge, but he wouldn't eat. He refused to eat. And they don't say it, but like, is she the reason why he ate so much? Or did she start that? I wonder.
Well, she kept giving him food, even though she was there to help. Which is another interesting dynamic. She's literally there to help him. His problem is eating, and she's giving him meatball sandwiches. And
and she, one time, she's like, I got you these 2 subs. What am I doing? And she like questioned it, like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm making it worse. And that was the moment where I was like, is she making the connection of like, she's making him her brother, and she's trying to save her brother who's already dead by giving him the food that she couldn't get her brother to eat. I don't know if that's true or not, but I was like, that's how I took it. Anyway.
Sounds like it could work.
Sure.
No, it really does. It sounds like a good theory. But you said there's no proof to it, but it's interesting because her character, like I said, she was there to help, but at the same time, she's literally making it worse. And
and she was, because she would physically help him with things, but then she was giving him the food. She verbally abused him a couple of times. And she apologized for it, but like, still, the whole thing, really, every character in this movie is processing depression in a different way.
Yes. And they all react different to it.
Right. And so it's like, Brendan is overeating, his dead boyfriend underate, she takes whatever you want to say that. His daughter is the opposite. She, instead of taking care of people, she hurts people. The missionary guy is trying to compensate for his lack by giving to others in what he thinks is helpful but isn't. The mom is an alcoholic. Everybody's dealing with depression in a different way in this movie, and it's a really interesting study on humans and just humans. But it's also, at the same time, it's not a study, it's just an honest, here you go. Like I said, it's not really, for the most part, trying to preach anything to you.
No.
It's just showing you what it is.
Well, the only thing, at least in the beginning half, I thought they were preaching was a lot of anti-religious stuff.
Yeah, but it does in a way. I feel like maybe it is anti-religious, but I never felt like it definitively said they were right.
Right. It came off to me a little angry atheist-ish at times.
Yeah.
But at times. But then I thought,
but it never definitively said that they were right.
Right.
And I do, if that was the message behind it, I could see that. I don't think that was the point, though, because Aronofsky is religious himself. And so I would think that he was just trying to show people's interpretation of religion as a problem.
Yeah.
Because when, Brendan Fraser is talking about it, and then the missionary goes, well, that's not how I interpret it. And so it's like it's the people doing the shit, not the actual religion.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they were trying to be anti-religion. I think they were being anti-everybody, frankly.
Yeah.
But it's like everything is broken, but okay.
Yeah.
That's just life. So, man, I don't know how much there is in there to study, or how much of it is just open to your own interpretation. Because we could probably come up with theories and answers to a lot of these things, and I don't know that there's an intended meaning, and I don't know if we're supposed to be trying to find one.
Or maybe it's one of those movies that just is there to make you think.
Yeah,
just to have a good conversation. And like, this is another one of those movies that just will be stuck in your head for next week. It's just like Mother was when I watched that thing, and couldn't get that out of my head for a week, just thinking about it over and over again. This is definitely going to be one of those movies for me.
What was the quote from the paper? It was like, the most depressing parts were the parts that were boring, that were just vivid details about whales, because I knew the author was just trying to distract us from his own sad story, even if it was just a short time. Maybe the purpose of this is just that. It's that it's trying to distract us from our own sad story. And that's the meaning. Because
like her visiting him?
The movie itself.
Oh, yeah, the
movie itself is just, here's a story for you to think about.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, here's the distract you just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if just for a little bit. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
I feel like I'm overanalyzing this again. I'm just adding. I feel like it's Bo Burnham all over again. I'm just adding meaning to stuff that's not supposed to have meaning, but I feel like there's something there.
Good art will do that to you. And it's kind of a reminiscence of the Nietzsche quote you posted the other day. It was like, we have books he didn't say TV and movies, obviously, around this time, so we don't have to live.
we have art so that we do not die of reality.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just like, it's a distraction. Everyone needs some sort of distraction,
but we do need it to reflect our own lives in a way, so that we can be moved by it and feel it. And and this certainly did. Like I said, I'm not obese, but like I said, I struggle with eating to a degree with that, and like depression in my own way and all that stuff. And the way that they portrayed it, like I said, is maybe the most authentic I've ever seen it in a movie. Like, it was powerful. Like, I mean, eating to the point of making yourself vomit because he was in a depressive spiral. I've never seen that done in a movie. It's probably been done before, but I'd never seen it done before. I was like, holy shit, that's powerful. Like,
and then the scene with his class was pretty powerful too, when he finally turned on his camera. He had his camera off the whole time. So
did you look at their reactions? By the way?
A lot of them were like,
some of them were shocked. Some were laughing, which I thought was great that they added that in there.
Okay.
Some were shocked, some were laughing, some were like bored, some were interested, and it was just such a, once again, just a dichotomy of reactions. I was like, that's perfect. Because like I said, you need to approach watching this movie with a mature mindset, because if you see him take his shirt off for the first time, you might want to laugh if you're an immature asshole. But it's like, and that's how some people will react. I know, because it's got mixed reviews from critics and stuff, and I'm sure part of that's also them nitpicking, like I said, the writing and the acting and stuff. But this is one of those things where I'm like, just don't nitpick it and don't worry about it, because God, it was good.
Yeah, I knew it was coming, but I just couldn't see how until the very end when she was reading it. But obviously there was a lot of metaphor for his life. I mean, the title itself is a metaphor for him. It's called The Whale. He's a noxious guy, but the whole time they talk about this Moby Dick essay that was written, so you kind of think that's where the title's coming from, but it's actually really just a metaphor for him and a lot of his life, especially, and that comes clear much at the end.
Right. I thought that essay and why he cared about it so much was written by his boyfriend.
Yeah, I that was intentional because so it was a nice little like
a slight twist there at the
small,
end that
but
it was actually her.
Small, but it was like it worked on an emotional level.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, oh my god, that's mind blowing, but it was like, oh,
because like you know that it is the most important thing in the world to him is his essay. Yeah. Because at his dying breath, he wants to hear it being read to him, and so you go, okay, well, his boyfriend used to be one of his students, so he would have essays by him. Obviously, his boyfriend's the most important person to him. That's made clear by the fact that he left his wife and kid for him. And then you find out, no, actually, his daughter is the most important person to him. And I was like, God, that's good.
So the ending. So when he lifted off the ground for a split second, I went, no, don't do something cheesy. Like I thought it was gonna be like something mystical or cheesy or something. And I'm like, no, don't.
I immediately went to Birdman. I was like, oh, we're Birdmanning it.
Yeah, something like that. I'm like, no, don't. And then it went to that scene of him just on the beach that they had talked about earlier, real quickly, and then back.
he was dying.
Yeah, he died. Yeah, but I got that. But I'm just saying, like, don't.
But I mean, that's what the ending of Birdman was too.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it didn't turn into like him flying through the city. Like that worked in the context of Birdman, but it wouldn't work here. Right. Yeah. I was that's what I thought was happening. It was going to do something crazy, like because his feet lifted off the ground, and you're like, what's it? And then
it zooms out. There's a pull-up bar. I'm getting gains for you, baby.
1,000-pound pull-ups. So up.
Yeah. And so I mentioned that this wasn't what I was expecting, and to a degree I didn't know what I was expecting, but from that first scene when she demands him get up and walk to her, I thought the rest of this movie was going to be about him getting his shit together. And I would have enjoyed that movie.
That's what I was expecting too, yeah.
I would have enjoyed that movie, but I enjoyed, I think, probably even more what we got instead, which wasn't him getting his shit together, and him just continuing that cycle and that spiral, because it's depressing. It's more depressing, but it's real. It happens. Most people that are bad enough to get to that state aren't going to be able to save themselves.
Yeah, no. It's really hard to go back from that. It's hard to go back from putting on a couple pounds just now. Imagine just like 1,500 pounds. I don't know. That's probably what he weighed.
1,500.
A couple.
I don't know how much he was, but goddamn.
No, that's a lot. Yeah, it's probably like 800-900. But it was Not to mention.
By the way, that bodysuit was fucking amazing. I was just gonna say that. Yeah, at one point I did think it might have been CGI almost when he was walking the hallway the first time. No, that was just. I don't think so.
Because you couldn't see. There was no creases, no makeup, obviously around the neck. It was
phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
Really well. It looked real. It really looked real.
That was awesome. If he continued with that, man. I mean, if he can just have a resurrection of his career and kind of go down this like indie.
Well, he's never been given the opportunity to.
That's nothing true. Yeah, he might have been like
just typecast into that bullshit. It's like
when you see, man.
I mean, just think about a lot of actors like that never got that opportunity. It's like if you look at Michael Keaton or Tom Hanks in the 80s, you would say the same thing about Brendan Fraser in the 90s. They're goofballs that in the rom-coms that are cheesy actors, and then they got that role. For Tom Hanks, he did Forrest Gump and Philadelphia and stuff like that, and you start taking him seriously. Michael Keaton took a little bit longer, but in the 2000s and maybe even as late as Birdman, he started doing serious shit, and you're like, oh wait, this guy can act.
Yeah, I love him now.
Yeah. And so I think that's what this was for Brendan Fraser, was like, oh shit, he could act this whole time. We've just been giving him shit to work with.
And good on Darren for noticing that.
Yeah, maybe it's just because for me, the main character is so relatable. Like, I don't know that he'd be as relatable to everybody, because, like I said, everybody in the movie's handling depression in different ways. Right. And I feel like he handles it very similarly to how I do with, like, the eating and the apologizing for everything and all. So maybe for me, that's why I just relate to it so much. But I think there's at least a little bit of something in there for everybody.
Yeah, I relate probably mostly to the daughter, even though I said I hated the character.
Maybe that's why you
I probably do, yeah, because that's how
Let me get out my pen. Do we want to have a session right now? Just lean back. Tell me about your childhood.
That's probably why I did. Just because I see a little myself in her. And
I mean, so do I.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty. And it's like, I see myself in all of them.
Yeah.
Like, the compensating with the religion, for sure. And like the trying to be everybody's nurse and the overeating, of course, and then being mean. Like, everybody has all of those in them at least a little bit, and sure, maybe one is mostly you, but I think everybody has all of that in them somewhere. So I mean, certainly she wasn't a likable character, but
Yeah.
That wasn't the point.
No, yeah, right. You're not supposed to, yeah. I don't think that was the point for any of the characters.
I will say, though, that she became an interesting character.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, not only do I dislike her, she's boring, but as she developed, like, the conversation with her and the missionary was when I was like, okay, she's interesting now.
Yeah, right.
Because before that I was like, she's just a bitch.
And she is as smart as her dad says she is, because she's clever enough to pick up on the guy.
On things, yeah. And so I enjoyed that because none of the characters were one-dimensional, even if they appeared that way for the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
Because the nurse was really boring. All of the characters except for him were really boring at first, which is why I kind of complained that we kept going back to them. But by the end of it, you see them develop, and you notice the little things like maybe she's doing this to compensate for her brother, and maybe he's doing this because he's trying to get acceptance. All these different things. It made these characters work, even if they didn't feel like it at first. The more I talk about this movie, the more I actually like it.
It requires more than one watch. I guarantee that. It's gonna be hard.
But it's not like begging to be rewatched either.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, but I did really enjoy it, and I had high expectations. We talked about that.
Yeah,
my
expectations
expectations were sky high.
Dude, especially driving Jersey to like
two theaters.
Yeah, this late at night, wrong theater,
and worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking worth it.
Definitely worth it.
I hope I was in focus this whole time. I kind of look blurry right now.
There were moments.
Hey, focus on me, camera. Am I still out of focus? I can't tell. My eyes
You'll
are
be
going.
out of focus and I'm pitch black.
This isn't going to be the best looking review we've ever done, even if it was a fun angle.
Yeah.
Audio's probably going to be all echoey because it's back in there and shit.
Well, at least now you know how to fix it. You can come up with a way to fix it for next time.
At least you know how to fix it if you can come up with a way to fix it. Is that what you just fucking said?
Yeah, I said that. That's not what I meant to say. That's out of my mouth.
At least you know how to fix it if you can find a way to fix it. Thanks. That's helpful.
Yeah, it's correct. It's not wrong. I'm not wrong about it.
In all seriousness, do we have anything else to say?
No, I think
we're good.
Really good.
Yeah,
movie.
just go see it.
Yeah.
First scene's a bit rough. Trust us. Just sit through the first scene. That first scene was like a jump scare. I was like, oh god, it's one of these. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. Turn off.